Good afternoon. I am coming at you today again from the Creator Studio. So exciting, isn't it? Just doing kind of a real quick video today, something new that we're trying, we've talked about before. Before I kind of get into what we're talking about today, I just want to shout out a huge thank you to all of you that watch, all of you that have subscribed and whatever. It probably comes across as, I don't even know why you're talking about it and something silly. But yesterday we went past 400 subscribers, and I know it doesn't get us anywhere, and it's an extremely small number, and you know, who would ever be so happy about this? But somehow it just feels like a milestone accomplishment. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that I keep giving you stuff that you enjoy seeing. So that brings us into where we're at today. I talked about doing just kind of some quicker videos, 4 or 5 minute videos and posting them up. I don't know, maybe even so much as a couple, 3 times a week, just kind of see how it all goes. In the last video where I actually asked about, hey, give me some suggestions. What do you guys want to see? Little Bitty Customs wrote up and said, hey, I would like to see video of you going out looking for dispersed camping. He's up in North Carolina and he likes to go out in the same kind of areas. And even though I kind of assume from that exact wording this isn't exactly what you're looking for, Little Bitty Customs, this one's going out to you. The way we go about finding dispersed camping, I think, is the same way everybody goes out and finds it. Really the only way that I know of that you can. And that is, you just have to drive around, you just have to go out there and find those spots. There are some apps that I've used. There's like iOverlander, and there's a handful of others. And then of course there's like Hip Camp, but I don't know that that really counts as like diversified camping. It is primitive camping, obviously, depending on where you rent, but you're renting a spot, so you're getting a reservation, whatever, just like you would with any other campsite. So I don't know if that really qualifies. So really what you have to do, you just kind of have to go out there, drive down the roads, and you'll just trip over the spots on the way. Just keep a good eye out, watch the sides. Anytime you see something that's kind of going off the road that looks like it might be a little trail to go somewhere, slow down, poke your head out there. If you can't really see very far, kind of drive up it a little bit. If it's a road that goes another mile, that's probably not going to be a campsite. But a lot of times you'll find little dispersed campsites where you go off the road and you can't necessarily see the ground from the road. There's like a little rise. So just kind of poke up over there and like see what's going on, right? Look for your obvious telltale signs. This flattened out spot, maybe a couple logs that are down for like benches, and a fire ring. I think one of the most accepted, this is a campsite signs, is a pre-existing fire ring, ring out of rocks, already had some fire in it. You do want to keep in mind, however, that just because there's a fire ring there, or just because it looked like somebody camped here once before, doesn't necessarily make it legal to camp there. There are lots of private land or, public land that, no camping is permitted, whatever, that people have set up fire rings. I mean, if I went to my neighbor's house and I put a ring there with some rocks and I set a fire, does that mean I'm allowed to like camp on his lawn? No. I've been using Gaia. Now, I would recommend you use some type of mapping system, some type of guidance system like that where you can record things. For the Black Friday deals, or maybe with Cyber Monday, I don't know what kind of deal it was, but I actually just purchased a year's subscription to Onyx Off-Road because I'm familiar with Onyx Hunt. I'm not a hunter, I've never used it, but I actually listened to the Meat Eater podcast with Steve Ranella and Janos Putelis, the Eagle, right? And of course, Old Cal. I listen to that all the time, even though I'm not a hunter, I've never been hunting. Those guys talk about a lot of just kind of outdoor stuff, not specifically just hunting, not like, oh, here's how you shoot the thing and here's how you cut its head off, right? But, they talk about a lot of conservation stuff and whatever. So it's a great listen. I really recommend it. So it's nice to be able to use something like Onyx Off-Road, or I've been using Gaia, and you can identify where you are. You mapped overlays and whatever, and take a look. If you're on private land, I think technically anywhere, you have to have permission for it to be legal. There's a couple of spots that we have stayed in. One spot in particular that I'm thinking of that is on Hurricane Creek. And I'm 99% sure, and it's one of our favorite camp spots, and I think it's one of everybody's favorite camp spots. Clearly people are camping there every night. But there's purple stripes on the trees, and that means it's private land. So I think technically, if the homeowner decided to come out and kick us off and like, hey, you can't be here, and we didn't leave, he could call the cops in. The cops are going to have a really hard time getting there to arrest us. But all the same, just because it's there and just because somebody else has done it doesn't make it legal. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're looking at these spots. There's a lot of different places that are super, super easy to find spots, and there's a lot of places that are very difficult to find spots. So before you go out on, wherever it is that you're going, oh, I'm going to go to kind of this area, I would say it makes a whole lot of sense to do a couple things with your mapping software. First, you want to make sure you download into your phone, just in case there's no cell service where you're going, make sure you download all of the right components that you will need, the map layers or whatever, where you can see. One of the ones that I really like is cell phone service. They've got patterns for, I'm with Verizon, whoever you're with, look that one up, make sure you download that, so if you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, you can actually open up your phone, look at the map and say, oh, well, if I go over here, I can have cell service. It's kind of important. I'm not super versed at OnX yet. I just kind of started looking at it. But I know in Gaia, you can open up publicly saved tracks, which is when you go out on whatever trail or wherever you're going, you can tell Gaia record, and it'll record exactly where you go, everywhere you went, right? And that's called a track. And you can put that as public, and then it kind of uploads it into Gaia. So if you use that layer and you open up the layer for public track, you kind of get a little slice of what's really popular kind of globally, for everyone. Where's everybody else going, You'll get some stragglers for like one guy went here and one guy went there. And then you'll see some areas where there's like 42 tracks right here. Well, that's going to be a real popular area. Those areas are probably going to have more dispersed camping. It'll be easier to find. I've also found on all of the trails that we've run, anything that you would run, or we're like, oh, you might end up needing 4 low. All of the trails where you're going to end up needing 4 low, anything you would say, that's a trail. That's not a dirt road, that's a trail. There tends to be a lot of campsites. I don't know if I would call it an abundance. You still have to look for them, but you'll find them. Using this mapping software, one of the things I also recommend that you do is when you go out pretty much anywhere, if you're out on a trail, if you're on a dirt road or whatever, as you see campsites, you can actually stop the car, hit the thing, and tell it to record a waypoint, and then you can name it campsite or whatever it is, whatever makes it easier for you to remember. And you can add in details if you need to add in details, or just when you get home and you can, upload it to your computer, and it's a lot easier to do the typing instead of here on your phone or another thing, is put in the details and save to areas that you've been. So when you come back, you can open up and say, oh, I want to see, whatever waypoints and here's all the campsites that I saw when I was here before. And you can kind of go into an area knowing, well, there was like 20 campsites that we saw. Maybe they're all taken, maybe they're not, but you can start knocking them off, if you go to a certain area. And then lastly, I would say, when you go out looking for a dispersed campsite and you're, oh, I'm going to go find something, and you kind of know the direction you're going and let's go. If you find a campsite that's going to work and it's not, like first thing in the morning, just go ahead and take it. We've run into a lot of situations where, oh, that looks nice, but it's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'd like to keep going till about 5 o'clock and go find, just something a little bit better. And then we don't find anything else for the rest of the night. And then at like 7 o'clock at night, the sun's going down, we're on the phone, and hopefully we've got cell service, and we're calling local campgrounds trying to get something because we just haven't found anything. So it's kind of the bird in the hand thing. Don't pass by something that's good and that's going to work. Just take that campsite. Another hour from now, everyone else is going to want to be camping too, and there's a good chance you're not going to find something. So you don't always know precisely exactly, I'm going to be on this road, or you don't always know. But I kind of like to know, in that kind of general area, we're going to be up in here somewhere, where are the campgrounds that are nearby? And if you think you may not have cell service, actually, just make a list of where they're at, mark them on Gaia, or mark them on OnX, or mark them on whatever mapping software that you're using, so that when you're out there in the sticks, you can, well, I don't have cell service, I can't call them, but I can see it's right here, I can get there, and you can guide yourself there. If you do happen to have cell service while you're out there, and you've got a phone number, you can call them, can I get a reservation? Do you have a spot? And we always kind of use that as our last ditch. But I guess I'd rather pay, $25 or whatever for an overnight campsite than drive to the nearest Walmart and sleep inside the truck, or, drive something like we ended up. Oh, it was horrible. A really long story, but when we went up to Cincinnati and we thought, oh, I know, I made my own mistake that I'm telling you not to do. I know this perfect. I know where we can stop. We're going to be able to stop here. And so we went there, and it was like 10 o'clock at night or 10:15 or something like that when we got there. But at 10 o'clock at night, when I started opening up the tent, we started getting, not attacked, but swarmed by hornets. Marla swears they were murder hornets, and I'm not allowed to call Marla crazy, so I won't. But they were big. I mean, they were every bit as big as like my pinky. I mean, they were big hornets. We didn't mess around with them. So that just kind of ruined. We couldn't camp there. But now I've got the tent halfway open. Well, now what are we going to do? I can't continue on. And it's 10:30 at night. We needed to find something, and we just ended up we went across the road and we drove for a little while, and we got up into the national forest up in the Harmon Den area, and there was a national parks sign on the side of the road that had this nice, green, lush grass, just all beautiful. We just parked on the grass, camped there. I don't think it was legal. I'm 100% sure that's not what they had intended that for. But we were just kind of in a spot that it was 11 o'clock at night by that point, and we'd run out of options because we'd passed by lots of different places because, I'm going to get to this one spot and it's going to work out. Well, sometimes it doesn't work out. So keep yourself a little bit in the pocket and make sure that, we've got a spot here now, and maybe it's not quite as far as I wanted to get or whatever, but this is going to work. Go ahead and stop there. And it gives you a little bit extra chance to relax too. You can always try, asking your friends or whatever, but somehow good campsites are like good fishing holes. Like, people just don't want to share because then it gets blowed up and then they never get to stay there again. Use the technology. Try to keep yourself in pocket. Don't try to push it too far into the evening, and you'll find a ton more success. And then always have a backup for, where's the nearest campsite. And that's what we do. I hope that worked for you. And thank you so much for watching. And, like, subscribe, do all the things. Give us the love. But we'll see you on the next one.